Saturday night at UFC 317 in Vegas. It was International Fight Week, and it delivered to a T. One of the biggest weekends of the year for the UFC, and two title fights were at the top of the card, and they delivered in the co-main event, and still Alex Pantoja is still the reigning UFC flyweight champion and successfully defended his title against Kai Kara France for the fourth time, which is the most title defenses for UFC champions right now, and his 5 victories in flyweight championship fights are second in division history behind, of course, Mighty Mouse, who has 12, and his 8-fight winning streak at flyweight is the longest active streak in the division. This guy submitted Kai Kara France in the third round, and every single time we see him, he seems like he's getting better, even though he is 35 years old, and sometimes when people reach that age, they start to kind of come down. He is just getting better, continuing to dominate, continuing to just remind everybody that he isn't just the best flyweight in the world, he's climbing the ranks in the pound for pound rankings each time he's out there. But the fight that everyone was looking forward to, the vacant UFC undisputed title, it was Ilia Topuria taking on Charles do Bronx Oliveira, the former 155-pound champion and the former undisputed featherweight champion. El Matador Ilia Topuria reminded everybody that regardless of weight, he not only is a good fighter at featherweight, but he now is the best fighter at lightweight in the UFC. He knocked out Charles Oliveira in the first round. He did what he said throughout this fight camp that he would do, and that is dominate do Bronx, something that is very hard to do. He made it look easy, and he didn't just do this by any means. Ilia Topuria has set some records and continuing to climb the all-time rankings here. He's the 10th double champion in UFC history, the 10th fighter to win a title in 2 divisions, but he's also the first fighter to win a title in 2 divisions while being undefeated. And also, he joins Conor McGregor. Everybody wants to make those comparisons, and we can hold the conversations for outside of the ring because I still think Conor's the bigger star. But Ilia joined Conor as the first 2 division or the second 2 division champion while being 28 years old, just a couple months apart there. And Ilia, to me, without a doubt, right now, is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC. I don't want to hear a case from anyone else. I'm sorry. I know Islam did have a dominant reign at lightweight, but when you break down what each fighter has done, Ilia's run, 3 title fight run, his last 3 title fights, is one of the best runs in UFC history, period, regardless of weight class. He beat 3 former champions. He knocked out Alexander Volkanovski to win the featherweight championship. In his first title defense, he knocked out Max Holloway, a former UFC Hall of Famer, and then did the same thing to do Bronx on Saturday night. And this guy really just seems like a perfect fighter. He is good on the ground when he needs to be. He's as dominant on the feet as I've ever seen. When you talk about pound for pound power, Ilia could be the best ever. This guy, when he hits somebody, it is just over. There's just not enough good words and characteristics that you can describe Ilia Topuria. He has it all. He is the biggest star in the UFC right now. He's the best fighter in the UFC. And people want to say it could be far-fetched, but I think, and I don't think it's going to happen now, but I think at 28 years old, Ilia Topuria has it all to potentially be the first 3-division champion in UFC history, because we just haven't seen a guy do what he has done. We have seen dominant champions like Islam Makhachev, like Khabib Nurmagomedov, but we haven't seen a guy at 28 years old who's 17-0 with 15 finishes and dominating people like he's dominating people. Before Ilia Topuria came in the UFC, he only had one knockout in his career, and since then, he has knocked out 6 of his 8 opponents in the UFC. This guy just continues to get better, and that is the scary part, not only about, like I mentioned, Alex Pantoja, but Ilia Topuria. This might not be the best version of Ilia, and that is just the scary thing, because most people reach their prime, their true prime, in their 30s, and that is a scary fact for the rest of the UFC roster. This guy is just a joy to watch. And I said it in my pre-fight article for DKNetwork.com that he possesses aura, and that word gets used a lot in different sports to kind of characterize fighters, athletes, celebrities, but he sums that word up better than anyone I've seen in the UFC right now. He just has that celebrity feel. He has that special feel to him that he is just different, and every word that he has said up until this point, he has done. He said he was going to knock out Alex Volkanovski. He did it. He said he was going to knock out Max Holloway. He did that. And he said he was going to knock out Charles do Bronx Oliveira, and he made it true to that promise as well. So, and in this day and age, it's so hard to be undefeated, and there's really only one other guy that could join him as a current or as a UFC champion, and that is Khamzat Chimaev, who's facing Duplessis this August. That is to be seen. But right now, Ilia Topuria is the fastest rising star I've ever seen, the best star in the UFC right now, and already is an all-time great and has the potential to just be the next UFC megastar. He's only 28 years old. Give this guy a couple more years, a couple more wins, he could just be on a totally different level. And I do think the UFC is going to go to Spain for their first event with Ilia Topuria headlining that card. All in all, this International Fight Week was just unbelievable. One of the best UFC cards in the last year or so. The third fight from the top, I didn't mention it yet, but Joshua Van beat Brandon Royale via unanimous decision, but that doesn't tell the whole story. This fight had 419 significant strikes, the most ever in a flyweight fight, and Joshua Van is the first fighter ever to have 100-plus significant strikes in 6 straight flyweight fights. This guy, Joshua Van, is just a joy to watch. He is just unbelievable. He's 15-2. He likely will face Alex Pantoja next for a championship at only 23 years old. He seems like he could be the future of this division. Beneil Dariush, after 2 years away, got back on track in dominant fashion against Renato Moicano, who suffered his second straight loss. And Peyton Talbot beat Felipe Lima in the opening bout of this main card, which was another fantastic fight to open up this card. One of the best fights of this card overall. The future is bright for Peyton, but all around an incredible showing by the UFC. UFC 317 International Fight Week delivered, and this was just a spectacular showing all around. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Ryan Wohl, and I'll see you next time.